Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The level of conspiracy around reconstitution of IEBC, of course with the new commission as expected, exposes the Rigathi fears that the current administration has been trying to brush off. And in this podcast, we're going to look at the mind-blowing revelations from the commissioners that were picked that cannot be ignored, even as Ruto and Raila enjoys some bromance. But before we get into those details, I want to remind you that we are shooting this video in Shinyalu. I am in Shinyalu, and we came in Shinyalu today, this Saturday, to support this woman. This granny you're seeing here is called Deborah. And if you look at that, if you look at this video, this is her situation. Alichomeka. And from what we've been told is that Deborah is nobody having that ugonjwa ya kifafa ile ya kuanguko. So she fell sometime 2 months ago, akaanguka kwa moto na akachomeka. So she didn't get a very good medical attention. So when we arrived here, I sent my girls to just go and assess how the situation was. And indeed, she's in deep pain.
Hey. Hapata ni uchungu.
Anaumia. Toi mkono hii kwanza. Toi mkono.
Inauma na ndani, ama inauma na ndani. Hii mkono before ulikuwa unabeba tu mzuri.
Alikuwa anakaa kama chomeka.
Alikuwa tu sawa, lakini sasa hivi huwezi.
So she really needs attention. But also if you look at this place, this is Deborah's house. So apart from the situation of the burns, this is supposed to be her house. However, when it rained, hiyo nyumba iliharibika. And if you look at the paa, as you can see, the house is actually in tatters. So as we speak now, even in her age, as you can look at her, she's now being forced to go and share a room with the son, the very last born son, kijana wake mdogo, because this place is unbearable. So we just hope that even as we try, even as we want to give, and I think the most important thing is life, to Kimtibu, we are here for 2 objectives, and that is why I'm standing in the gap for this granny, that we take her to the hospital, and by the time she's also back, we also put up a decent house for her, and that is why I am here. I'm reaching out to you on behalf of this Shinyalu granny, Deborah, that you can stand with this, you can partner with us so that we'll be able to treat her. And number 2, we put up a house for her. Hii ndio nyumba yake. And I can tell you, if you look at this situation, even at that age, si mtu ambaye anafaa ende alale na mtoto wake mdogo, which is just a nearby house that I've shown you. So, and even that house is in a very bad condition. So we spoke with the family and those who are around, and what we agreed is tunamtibu, alafu hii nyumba, whatever you have here, ndio tutaweka chini, then we put up a new structure for her. Partner with us. Hapa tunasemanga kidogo kidogo hujaza kibaba, and be a blessing to this granny. And I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for supporting this work. And this is going to be our June project. Yes, every month we pick one project and support. So Shinyalu Granny is going to be our June project. By the way, watu wangu wa Kakamega niko around, so but around I have a big team here. My girls are here, the driver na kila mtu. So tukuje huku, tulishe, give us a call, tupatie hiyo kuku, tuchinje, and so that as we hang around. And I also believe that God is gonna bless us. Now, the level of hypocrisy and political conspiracy by the political players on the reconstitution of IEBC is taking to a very bad corruption. And what Rigathi raised of election malpractices may be actually getting its way in 2027 general election. After High Court lifted orders because some people had gone to court to stop the vetting, but immediately the High Court lifted the orders on Saturday. A special meeting was convened today on, the orders were lifted on Friday. A special meeting was convened today, and the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, chaired by Murugara, successfully, and they vetted all the 7 nominees, and the whole process was rushed. In fact, some of those affidavits that were shown, some affidavits against those commissioners, were actually squashed. And this is coming at a day where even the mainstream cameras were off. They were not really given. They were not really roped in so that that matter can get the public interest completely out of touch. And it started with a reverse psychology when Musalia Mudavadi was the first person to blame Kina Kalonzo for the delay.
If we are all to pull in our individual corner, the Constitution does not allow for 42 or 43 commissioners. It has a limited number. So it is obvious you will never have every community in the same IEBC all at the same time. It will be against the law. So we want to tell the people that wacha kuogopa election by delaying IEBC. There are constituencies in this country that have been sitting without an MP for several months. That is disservice to those people because there is no IEBC. We cannot continue delaying the process of the IEBC because we are denying a lot of Kenyans their constitutional right to have representation.
Now, I want you to listen to, and I took time and followed those proceedings. So at this point, I would want us to listen to 3 commissioners that we were paying attention to because they were also the ones that were bringing a lot of interest. And by their apologies, where I'm shooting, I shoot as nikuambia niko Shinyalu, so this is a place where the neighborhood kuna hiyo umbwa, so you will always hear that sound there, and please bear with us because we are not in the studio, so that natural sound disruptions are always here and there. I listened to Mary Keagan admitting that she wants to be IEBC commissioner, but she's a UDA member, having resigned from Jubilee Party. Just listen to this. And of course, UDA is the ruling party. How do you confirm neutrality, the fairness of someone who is saying, or someone who is being picked and is a UDA member? Because honestly, I want to believe that, and I did this analysis, and I said that the process, the transparency and of course the fairness of an election is not a one-day process. It starts just from this level. Here is Mary Keagan confirming to the country that she is a member of UDA party.
I want to say that I'm no longer a member of Jubilee Party of Kenya. May it go on record. So I will not even be biased on in favor of Jubilee. And even if...
Are you a member of any other party then?
Yes. I'm the member of UDA.
You are a member to UDA?
I'm a member of UDA.
Okay.
It's good to declare. When I left Jubilee in 2021, I was for a period, somebody can do a search, it's a public domain. Then I joined UDA later on. I personally, I will not be biased as I've worked, if you go on my track record, from the time I worked in LSK, from the time I worked in betting board, I have never been biased, even in Kenya, duties professionally. And I want to believe at any time, at any point in time, each and everyone here must have interacted with a party. But when we are dealing, if I find favor, the client is Kenya, and Kenya comes first. And you have to discharge your duties according to the law and the written solution, because you owe, I personally owe a duty to Kenya, and I'm accountable to Kenyans at large. Of course, through JLAC. JLAC is the one which will be supervising me.
Of course, maybe she's now going to resign. And she's not yet resigned, even as by the time she's going there. And the UDA party leader is one of the contestants in that presidential election. So I don't know how that is supposed to sound. Maybe we are taking it. Maybe we are blowing it. But I would also want to read your feedback. What would you take someone who is a member of the UDA party? And we had 106 applicants for that position. And that is supposed to bring in a debate. And I want to believe probably from tomorrow, different stakeholders will start raising questions about eligibility of someone who is a party, who belongs to that party. And he's saying, remember, she was the deputy executive director of Jubilee Party before she left Jubilee for the UDA. Outrightly, she's not afraid, and she's bravely telling people, I am pro-President Ruto. The other second person I want us to pay attention to is Noor. Noor, Hassan Noor, it was reported in the media that indeed he's a relative, he's the brother-in-law to Junet Mohammed. Kwamba Junet Mohammed's wife is the sister. So, of course, we cannot unchain blood relationships, and should not be a factor. But isn't it a bad coincidence that someone who is close to the minority leader in the National Assembly, Junet Mohammed, who has been an election operative, has been picked for the Electoral Commission? And in fact, I wanted to look at how the DAB Member of Parliament, Farah Maalim, tried to protect Noor from such kind of, for more probe on that ground. And when this matter was raised, I remember even the DAB Member of Parliament saying, Junet is not a member, Junet should not be discussed without a substantive motion against him, even if it is committee, it has to take the standing orders of the National Assembly.
On Makali's question.
No, I asked about a very specific issue.
Which one?
The relationship with
yes.
Whoever.
All right. Not whoever. No, not whoever.
Yeah, a point of order. Chair,
what is the point of order?
The committee is bound by the rules of the House. You cannot discuss the conduct of a member of Parliament without a substantive motion on that. And in any case, it's speculation. All of us are members of Parliament. The members of Parliament who come from his own constituency who are his relatives, they are members, he has friends everywhere. Picking on Junet is in my opinion, not acceptable unless there is a substantive motion on that to discuss.
There is going to be no discussion whatsoever on Junet at all.
Yeah.
But he's going to answer the allegations that have been brought in affidavits that he is actually Junet Mohammed's relative. That he has to answer, so that the members of public over there, when they see Commissioner Hassan Noor Hassan, yes, that is a cousin to Junet Mohammed. No, his brother-in-law. No, he's the other one, and we know it. All right, it's good to know. So, please answer Honorable Karemba's question. Are you related to Honorable Junet Mohammed?
Mr. Chairman, I am related to Honorable Junet Mohammed. I am his brother-in-law. Mr. Chairman, as his brother-in-law, I existed long before Jeanette was born. But I am Jeanette's brother-in-law. Completely different.
All right. I think that is answered, Karemba.
Yeah, Chair, I don't have another question.
Yes.
That is exactly what I wanted.
That's the answer that has been given to the Republic of Kenya, and it's information. There is nothing wrong with being a brother-in-law to somebody, brother, cousin, whichever. But when you are discharging your duty, if this commission approves you, we will always bear that in mind, so that if there is any appearance of bias, it's worse than bias itself. Thank you very much. Let's hear from Honorable Otiende Amolo. Remind us your question, sir. Yours was answered.
He remembers.
He remembers. All right, answer that one if you remember.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
To see the kind of protection around it. That is factor. That is one factor coming out openly about that electoral body. Now, the other observation I also made, and that is the other third person, is the chairperson. Two observations about him. Number one, ridiculously, the chairman is saying that he didn't want to vie for that position, but it was the young people of Kenya, of some people, some cyber people where he normally goes to vie, that it is some young people who went and who normally prints his documents, are the ones that perused for him his documents and urged him to apply, and like he was not interested.
I wouldn't really want to dwell much on that because, Honorable Chair, I think most Kenyans, from the day the advert was put out there, from the day the first advert was put, and then it was cancelled to allow room for further consultations, and that resulted to the NADCO process and the outcome of the NADCO process, and subsequent advertisement for this position and inviting those of us who are interested and who felt like we had something to offer. We were invited in an open process. We submitted our application, and I recall very well, Honorable Chair, for the record. At first, I was reluctant even to apply for this job, given the negativity and all these things around this position. But at the cyber cafe where I normally photocopy my things and my papers, even for my work in South Africa, the young people in that cyber cafe, Peter, Purity, and Kizito, they are the people who urged me to put in my application, because looking at my documents and having conversations with me over tea, they thought and they felt that you have what it takes to lead this country in this institution. And at first I thought maybe I should just apply for the commission and, you know, the hot seat, leave it alone. But they actually went and submitted the documents both for the chair and for member. So when I was in South Africa, they sent me a screenshot. We've submitted the documents. And later on, when I was on my way to, I think, Angola or something, I saw my name in the newspapers that I've been shortlisted. I honored the...
So it is not you who applied?
I submitted the documents. I signed.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
Are you saying you did not submit your own application for this position?
Right. Kisito, the one who photocopies for me. So I bound everything, and I asked them to submit once everything was in order.
So they submitted the documents for you?
They just submitted the documents.
You had applied yourself, you had signed the documents, etc.
Yeah.
So he was trying to disabuse the notion that it could be a state operative. And that is already a red flag, because first, the two things he wanted to achieve with that ridiculous standpoint. Number one, he wanted to say that he is the chairperson that has been endorsed by the young people, probably the Gen Z. And that is why he had to invoke the name, the demographic Gen Z. Number two, he's trying to say he was not interested and was just called to go. So it's like there was no behind the State House push to pick for him to apply for that position. That doesn't stand well with what he tries to say, because he's trying to portray some innocence. And already when you struggle with the innocence, so that means, are you guilty? That you are moving, you're struggling with innocence. That statement, I can also read your thoughts on that. But then when he was asked about his relationship with Nanok, I paid attention to these three because immediately their names came out, we were so much abrasive about how they're going to defend themselves. Now, so the chairman is saying he served in Turkana County for 6 years. 4 years under Nanok, and now 2 years under the current governor. Probably, I think, by the time he was leaving that position coming this end, he was, he resigned coming this end. So first thing is this. I don't know how someone who worked as a county attorney for Nanok can try to delink himself from Josephat Nanok. In my own essence, of course, the corporate language about Kenya comes first, is part of his defense strategy. But the fact that he's also confirming, when these statements came out, we were all, some were brandishing them as just mere propaganda. But the fact that he's also coming out and saying, yes, I worked with him, but I am not really obliged to work under, to deliver them, is to work under State House is something. And blatantly, I realized the jailer committee that was vetting this team were very soft. And of course, this was just a premeditated process. One day, remember, it took the commission almost 1 month to interview all these people. So it has taken 1 day for the committee to vet all of them, and there is a way this is being rushed, just the way Rigathi Gachagua impeachment was rushed, and you can see state operative around it. Now, as all this was happening, you'll understand that outside here, the government has put a high-octane attack machinery against Rigathi Gachagua. And this commission, I wanted to look at this. This commission is being fashioned as a tool against those who don't support William Ruto. Yes, that is being fashioned. But there is something I want to say here, and I think, the bipartisan report was envisioning a conversation between government and opposition. But I believe whoever is going to be picked will work under the command of President Ruto, even if Kalonzo's brother is the one to be picked. So the position by Rigathi that let them do what they want, but we marshal the numbers, that the opposition marshal the numbers, is what it paints. But clearly, someone is hell-bent to achieve some objective, in the way that is being handled should actually worry people in this country. Remember, when Rigathi raised the issue about election rigging, the whole Kenya Kwanza rose against him. And he said, I am just making a precautionary statement. I am not saying that is what will happen. He was told, you want to bring violence. And I think Rigathi was being suppressed, because if you look at the kind of commission that is being procured, there is everything to doubt about it. So I want to interpret the rush and what we can see the State House hand in that IEBC team. But remember, we are supporting Granny Deborah here. We are taking her to the hospital on Monday, and from Tuesday, we are also starting to build her a house, so that ata akipona, at least asiende kuomba mahali pa kulala. At that age, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for her kuomba mahali pa kulala at that age. And thank you very much for partnering with that big project. Now, Ruto is vouching for Raila access in election management, and this is what is happening. Remember, in the last general election, we had a commission which was split. On this one, I can see a full control where at no point will you have someone who is saying something against what the others are saying. They're looking for that, and that's why they've vouched for everyone. And in fact, with the high-handedness in the State House, high-handedness in picking the IEBC, it's supposed to instill confidence of second term. And this is, I'm talking from the election management process, from the election management access. It's supposed to instill confidence. The Azimio, the ODM team and the government team, they're supposed to have confidence that they're going to have second term. Come rain, come sunshine. They're going to have second time. And that is what Raila access, and that is why Raila access there. I want to tell you, I don't want to believe it is just a coincidence that Junet Mohammed's brother-in-law is there and things are just supposed to be that way. All those things are only planned. IEBC stemming from political players shows some level of insecurity from those in power. When you can blatantly go and pick people who are your party members, people who are relatives to powerful people in government, it doesn't instill confidence, and in fact it shows you are procuring a team that you are so sure that can serve a specific interest. And so bad, and of course, that is it. President Ruto has taken over the process, and much as we want to say that, you know, the panel is independent, the whole process has been taken over by the State House, and they're the ones that are controlling. I once spoke to someone who told me, Kevin, you guys will do analysis about everything, but when it comes to IEBC, whatever it takes, the president must get his way. And lastly, the deep-seated vote rigging schemes can be activated when need arises. When you have what looks like a standby commission, then vote rigging schemes can be activated, and it should worry that we are taking that direction. Thank you.